A call for a revamp of the driver's license system in Jamaica. Finance Ministry moves to quell disquiet over payout to parliamentarians. And a project called Pork Barrel by some gains recognition overseas. Director General of Tax Administration Valerie Latibodiere has called for sweeping changes to the driver's license system in Jamaica. She concedes that the process of granting driver's licenses is fraught with chronic problems. Her comments were made during a sitting of Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, the PAC, on February 22. The no-nonsense members of the committee painted the licensing system and the motor vehicle certification process as being riddled with corruption. Latibodiere told the PAC that despite upgrading the system at Inland Revenue in 2008 to increase accountability, the department continues to be affected by significant problems. She says, "We have tried to improve the system, but without all the linkages where you have the cross-referencing being done, we'll continue to grapple with these problems." The tax boss says she has seen her initials forged on motor vehicle driver's licenses. Auditor General Pamela Monroe Ellis, in her annual report ended March 31, 2010, raised serious concerns about the operations of Inland Revenue. According to Monroe Ellis, her department was concerned about the accuracy of some 1.4 million records at Inland Revenue. The Auditor General's department's audit showed that 1,767 applicants under the age of 17 received driver's licenses from Inland Revenue in contravention of the law. Records also show that applicants under 21 years had been issued general driver's licenses to drive public passenger vehicles. This is in breach of the Road Traffic Act. Monroe Ellis says these findings have brought into sharp focus the integrity of the driver's license system. She wants disciplinary action to be taken against the officers who granted these licenses in violation of the law. Junior Minister for Finance and the Public Service, Senator Arthur Williams, has rushed to quell growing disquiet within the public sector. At least two unions in the public sector have expressed alarm at the payment of $32 million to members of Parliament for outstanding motor vehicle allowances. On February 22, the Police Federation reacted angrily to the news, charging that the payment was a contradiction of the government's claim of an inability to pay. The following day, Senator Williams hit back, saying it was unfair to link the payment of motor vehicle allowances to salary increases outstanding to public sector workers because of the wage freeze. Public sector workers have had to endure 3 consecutive years of wage freeze. There are indications that another wage freeze might be imposed on the public sector in the upcoming fiscal year, which begins in April. Senator Williams says the payments to MPs represent outstanding motor vehicle allowances dating back to April 1, 2006. Defending the payment, he says parliamentarians were the only group in the public sector that did not receive payment for the allowances due in 2006. In 2002, members of parliament received a 103% hike in their salary. 4 years later, MPs were granted salary increases of 15.5% and 17.5% over a 2-year period. The Auditor General's Department, the AGD, has placed in the spotlight the economic enablement projects under the Constituency Development Fund, the CDF. In its annual report, the AGD says its investigations have revealed that no approval was granted by 2 critical government bodies for on-lending arrangements with 6 non-governmental financial institutions. Approval should have been granted by the Ministry of Finance and the CDF Monitoring Unit, the CDF-MU, in the Office of the Prime Minister. 9 economic enablement projects totaling $22.7 million were examined by the AGD. The projects, undertaken in 6 constituencies, were implemented under revolving loan schemes with financial institutions. According to the Auditor General's Department, the CDF-MU did not present for audit scrutiny copies of the on-lending agreements between the CDF and the financial institutions. The agreements comprise the terms and conditions for the disbursement of funds to the financial institutions. The AGD indicated that the failure of the CDF-MU to provide the terms of the on-lending agreement prevented the department from assessing whether certain criteria were agreed upon before the disbursement of the funds. In addition, the Auditor General's Department says amounts disbursed under the loan revolving scheme to the financial entities are reflected in the budget as grants instead of loans. Prime Minister Bruce Golding has not ruled out a commission of inquiry into the killing of 73 persons in West Kingston in May 2010. He says the decision to appoint a commission of inquiry into the incident is contingent on the findings of an intensive investigation being conducted by the public defender Earl Witter. Witter is expected to submit a report outlining whether the security forces infringed the legal or constitutional rights of residents in Tivoli Gardens last May. The Prime Minister was responding to a question from Central Kingston MP Ronnie Thwaites on February 22 in Parliament. More than 70 persons died in May last year when the security forces entered Tivoli Gardens to execute a warrant on Christopher Dudas Coke. At present, a commission of inquiry is being conducted into the extradition request for Coke. And finally, in the Parliament report, Chairman of Parliament's Constituency Development Fund, CDF, Everald Warmington, says the project, designated by some as pork barrel, has gained recognition in Commonwealth states. He says some Commonwealth states have expressed an interest in adopting the CDF model in their respective jurisdictions. According to Warmington, other countries around the world want to emulate Jamaica's CDF, even though Jamaica's press view it as kreng and pork barrel. Other countries around the world view it as a very noble way for MPs to assist their constituents. In June, Jamaica will host a workshop for members of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, at which time discussion on the CDF will take center stage. Late last year, a cloud of secrecy was lifted from the CDF committee meetings after the group yielded to sustained pressure from the media to open the meetings to the press. That's it for this edition of the Parliament Report. I'm Edmund Campbell. Walk good.